is because Democrats refuse to close on a spending agreement, taking it hostage for an immigration deal.
The bill has no support among Democrats.
So this is what it is. We could just sit down and get this done. Except there seems to be some resentment in our on the other side of the aisle to our having our domestic agenda funded. I don't know what's going on over there, but I do know that this continuing resolution is a very bad idea.
House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi, but the measure faces an uncertain future in the Senate. South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham issuing a statement reading in part, "I'm not going to support continuing this fiasco for 30 more days by voting for a continuing resolution." President Trump says the Democrats want to shut down because the economy is doing well, something he says works against them.
The Democrats want to see a shutdown to get off this subject because this subject is not working for them. The tax cuts and tax reform has not been working well for the Democrats.
President with remarks earlier today in Pennsylvania. The parents of 13 children in Paris, California, authorities say were held captive and in filthy conditions. David and Louise Turpin being held on $12 million bond each after pleading not guilty. David Turpin's attorney, David Major.
What we would like the public to know is that our clients are presumed to be innocent. And that's a very important presumption.
Turpin's accused of beating the children, withholding food, chaining them to furniture, and they're due back in court next month. Fox News, fair and balanced.
The clock is ticking. Every day you put off buying life insurance can cost you big time. The older you get, the more you'll have to pay. And a sudden accident or unexpected illness could cause your rates to skyrocket or even make you uninsurable. Beat the clock. Call SelectQuote now. No hassle, no obligation. In minutes, you'll have a choice of your best rates from up to 10 highly rated life insurance companies. Richard, 40 years old, takes meds to control his cholesterol. Still, SelectQuote got him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. Under $1 a day. Don't risk your family security another minute. Get your free quote now. Just call 800-280-8787. That's 800-280-8787. 800-280-8787 or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
The opinions expressed on this show are those of the participants, the hosts, the guests, and the callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions and views of Southern Stone Communications, WNDB Radio, its employees, and friends. Comments regarding WNDB's programming can be addressed to D. Lang at DaytonaRadio.com.
Live from Daytona Beach, Florida, bringing a voice to America's forgotten working class, speaking the truth for the America that Washington left behind, making America great again, 1 hour at a time. This is Trump Talk Live, where we the people have the right voice. Presented by the Republican Party of Volusia County. Here now are your hosts for this episode, Vic Baker and Joe Fieldus.
Greetings, fellow American Patriot Republicans, and welcome to the Trump Bull Market 26K Dow, American Tax Cut Apple Harvest, Trump Tax Cut Bonus Bonanza, DACA Deadlock, Bleep Hole Bleep Storm, Government Shutdown, NOCO Nuclear War Threat, Bannon Bluster, Clean Bill of Health, Fake News Awards episode of Trump Talk Live, the home of fearless truth-telling about our healthy, mentally sharp Energizer bunny of a president and his tireless mission to run rings around the deep state, the hopeless, hapless fake news media, the never-Trumpers, and delusional Democrats. Well, folks, the federal government will shut down in about 30 hours from now unless Congress gets its act together with yet another temporary spending bill, a Band-Aid to fund essential services, including our military, that defends us from madmen like North Korea's nuclear brat Kim Jong-un and the mad mullahs of Iran. The Democrats are in a big snit over a word that rhymes with snit hole, attributed to our president by Democrat hitman Dick Durbin. The delusional Democrats are back at it. The Russian collusion delusion has melted in a morass of messy lies. Obstruction of justice is falling flat. Trump's doctor completely dashed the media's favorite myth about President Trump's mental and physical capacity, so now they're back to calling him a racist. Truth be known, a lot of rough language is used in behind-the-scenes negotiation in Washington. The difference here is the Democrat thought police decided to use faux outrage over the word to divert attention from their lame attempt to push Trump into amnesty for countless illegal aliens. President Trump will agree to a deal on DACA, deferred action on childhood arrivals, and that's about 3.6 million people, by the way, but only if we end chain migration, visa lotteries, and build that wall. Get a clue, Democrats, you can't roll this president. Oh, by the way, Homeland Security may pursue criminal charges against sanctuary city mayors ignoring federal immigration laws. Lock them up. This Democrat-driven snitstorm is happening while Wall Street is roaring. The Dow hits 26K. Stock market optimism hits a 32-year high. U.S. jobless claims plunged to the lowest tally since 1973. Companies are paying out millions of dollars in bonuses and raises. Apple is repatriating billions of dollars and promising to invest $350 billion into a new American campus, hiring 20,000 Americans. Fancy Nancy, who never had to scrape for a dime, calls a $1,000 bonus crumbs. Takes a crumb to no one, Nancy. Let 'em eat cake, said Marie Antoinette before the blade cut her a slice. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly puts it all in perspective, says the world is not ending over the spending bill, but North Korea could be on the short end if it does not abandon its dangerous nuclear ambitions. Let's get real, folks. Senator Jeff Flakey speaks to an empty Senate chamber and compares President Trump to Stalin? Really, Jeff? What school taught you history? Oh, and it's award season, so President Trump is handing out some trophies to the phoniest fake news liars for hire of the year. Wait till you hear it. An American hero, Bob Dole, puts us all to shame with his record of American patriotism. Trump Talk Live comes to you from the Daytona Beach studios of WNDB, 93.5 FM or 1150 AM on your dial. The voices of Trump's week are artfully delivered to your eager ears by our maestro of the audio board, Phil Kincaid. You can also listen to us online by going to TrumpTalkLive.com. Now, the Wi-Fi gods were not with us tonight, so you will not see it live on Facebook or YouTube. So forget that. But you will be able to see it later on a replay on Facebook and on YouTube. Our thanks to Volusia County TARS Chairman Duncan DeMarsh, who runs the graphics for our webcast, with able assistance from fellow teenage Republicans Ian Escalante, usually, and Malcolm Swaggerty, who's with us tonight. I'm your Trump-Republican truth teller, Vic Baker, hosting Trump Talk Live tonight along with the 2016 Trump-Pence campaign manager, not manager, but chairman for Volusia County, veteran conservative Trump-Republican blogger Joe Fieldis. And Joe is on fire tonight. Joe.
Good evening, Vic. Hello, friends. This time last year, our country displayed to the world a ceremony of freedom we call Inauguration Day. It's a celebration of our ability to peacefully pass commander-in-chief authority of the American presidency from one leader to the next. With the exception of our disastrous Civil War, the United States has never suffered the civic turmoil that is so common in the history of nations when ultimate political power is transferred. But on January 20th, 2017, we were astonished to witness a mob of criminals take to the streets in Washington, D.C., set fire to property, and violently cause injury to police. 234 of these anarchists were arrested and charged with felony rioting. Their prosecution is ongoing, with trials that began last November. This dangerous ugliness might have been prevented if the losers of the election had accepted the results gracefully, as is the time-honored tradition of our republic. But they did not. Instead, they tried to overturn the election. As more and more information is revealed to congressional investigating committees, the plotters will likely include former President Barack Obama, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, former FBI Director James Comey, including many co-conspirators that are still operating inside our government. Those who tried to overturn the free and fair election of 2016 must be brought to justice. The charge? Treason. Vic, let's roll.
In light of what you've just said, this is the headline on Gateway Pundit tonight. It's happening. Representative Ron DeSantis says classified intel memo compiled by the House Intel Committee deeply troubling and raises serious questions about the Russia investigation. Ron DeSantis, ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, a Republican member, and has been very aggressive with Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to find out more information about the phony Hillary-funded dossier. On Thursday, that's today, the House Intelligence Committee quietly voted to make available to fellow House members a memo documenting abuse of the FISA program. Remember when Trump said on March 4th of last year that Obama had him wiretapped? Well, okay, they did. That's according to Fox News' Chad Pergram, who's an ace producer on Capitol Hill. Shortly afterwards, DeSantis said the classified report compiled by the House Intelligence Committee is deeply troubling and raises serious questions as it relates to the Russian collusion investigation. DeSantis tweeted, the classified report compiled by House Intelligence, deeply troubling, raises serious questions about the upper echelon of the Obama DOJ and Comey FBI as it relates to the collusion investigation. This classified document, Matt Gaetz has also said, when we disclose what's going on with this dossier, it's going to shake the foundations of the Justice Department, the FBI, to their very timbers. Stay tuned, folks. Big news to come on that, and it's not going to be happy for a lot of people from Obamaland, including cover-up Comey and Loretta Lynch and perhaps the former president himself. And he's not immune to prosecution after he leaves office. U.S. jobless claims, this came out today, Joe, plunged to lowest weekly tally since 1973. Jobless claims decreased by 41,000 to 220,000, the lowest level since then, since Nixon was in the White House in his second term. I mean, the key takeaways, the drop in claims shows that companies are increasingly holding on to their employees and they're hiring more people. The stock market optimism among the experts and investors is reaching the highest level in nearly 32 years. Bulls, and they're saying they're not even calling it a bull market. They're calling it a phenomenon trend or something like that. It's beyond a bull market, because when the market jumps 1,000 points in a week and then another 1,000 points in another week, that's something extraordinary, Joe.
Vic, on the White House website today, there's this: less than a month after the Tax Cut and Jobs Act became law, 187 companies have issued bonuses, raised minimum wages, planned investments, or donated to charity as a result of lower taxes.
Yeah, and you take into account the fact that Apple, which has always made its profits primarily overseas, making phones and iPhones in China and places like that, Taiwan, wherever, and has hundreds of billions of dollars invested overseas. Well, they've announced, Apple said it will pay a one-time repatriation tax of $38 billion with a B dollars on its overseas cash holdings and ramp up spending in the United States as it seeks to emphasize its contributions to the American economy. Now, the world's most valuable publicly traded company laid out its plans Wednesday in a statement that was full of big dollar figures. They plan to invest $30 billion in capital spending in the U.S. over 5 years, creating more than 20,000 jobs, including a new campus which initially will house technical support for customers and $10 billion toward data centers around the country. It'll expand to $5 billion of funded established last year for investing in advanced manufacturing in the United States. Apple's $38 billion tax commitment is the largest such sum announced in response to the major overhaul of the U.S. tax code. This is a monster story, folks. This is now Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, is no friend of Donald Trump's. But people like Tim Cook and Elon Musk and all these others, even Jeff Bezos, they're going to get so rich because of Donald Trump. They're already filthy rich. They're going to get filthier rich.
They would not do it if it was not good business. Remember during the campaign when there was a little spat going on with Mr. Cook, I believe,
That's right.
And Trump said, "Why don't you make your phones in America?"
That's right.
And everybody sort of laughed, like, well, that's not going to happen. Oh, maybe it is.
Yes, they're going to contribute some $350 billion to the U.S. economy over the next 5 years. Now, Silicon Valley may hate Donald Trump, but they love their bottom lines. We're at the quarter of the hour, so it's time for us to take a break before we talk about a little more controversy on Trump Talk Live.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033. Stay with us for more fearless truth-telling on Trump Talk Live, making America great again.
The Daytona Beach Half Marathon returns February 4th, offering an experience like no other. The Half Marathon course takes runners from the historic flat asphalt of the Daytona International Speedway over the ISB Bridge to the beach and then back to the iconic Speedway for a photo-worthy finish. With a half marathon, relay, 5K, and challenge, there's an event for everyone. And what's more, every finisher earns an incredible medal. Register today at DaytonaBeachHalf.com. That's DaytonaBeachHalf.com.
Feeling stuck in a state of compensation stagnation? You know, another year with no raise. Then let State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand help you get to a better state with a discount double check that can stretch your hard-earned dollars a little farther. Sonia will go through your car insurance to make sure you're getting all the discounts you deserve. Discounts that could add up to 40% and put a few hundred extra dollars in your pocket. Sound good? Then get your budget to a better state by calling State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand today. Discounts may vary state to state.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033.
Now, here's a little note. A Democrat confided to a colleague that the reason they so vehemently opposed Donald Trump's tax cuts is that they were afraid it would work. With the bill now signed into law over unanimous Democrat opposition, every family is about to find out what they've been hiding from you. According to polls, most people believe it'll mean tax increases and declining standard of living. But everybody's in this last month, Joe, is quickly finding out otherwise. They're seeing bonuses from their employers, new job opportunities, promotions. Some are getting pay raises, and companies are announcing expansions and hiring people all over the place. Plus, starting February 1st, a very short time from now, you look at your paycheck and say, wait a minute, did I get a raise? How did I get this raise? You realize the government's taking less of your paycheck away. You're getting a bigger take-home pay because the rates are lower now. And if you're a couple making very little money, you'll probably pay very little, if any, taxes. And you won't need an accountant to figure it out for you.
You know, when Bill Clinton ran for office in 1992, his manager was James Carville.
Carville. Yeah.
And he put on a board where everybody could see it every day. It's the economy, stupid. And they focused like a laser beam on the economy, and they won with that message. This is what's happening now. Trump is going to make this economy roar, and all these little sidebars that we've been suffering here the last year is going to be drowned out by the sound of this economic engine of America.
Well, you've heard of the expression egg on your face. Well, Democrats are going to be walking around with egg facials for the rest of the year. Now, House Speaker Paul Ryan is saying he's confident that his GOP-controlled chamber tonight will pass a stopgap government-wide funding bill. Of course, when it gets to the Senate, it's more trouble. People like Rand Paul, who believes that that's the problem. That's why we don't spend responsibly, because we don't allocate money directly to departments within budgets that we get into these deficits. And that's what's happening. Stopgap spending. When you're running your family finances, okay, on a week-to-week, paycheck-to-paycheck, oh, my God, I'm out of money. Let's go get a payday loan or something like that in short term. That's never going to get you out of debt. Well, that's what the government's doing to you. And
how many of these continuing resolutions have we had in a row?
Well, they keep kicking the can down the road because they can't get the job done, and people are not getting on the same page. They need to just tell the Democrats, get out of the way, let us do our job. Now, Donald Trump went to the Pentagon today. He went to the Pentagon today to meet with Secretary of Defense Mattis and the top generals about North Korea, particularly, I think. And on his way into the Pentagon, he made some comments about why he thinks the Democrats are making such a big stink over DACA and what's really at play here. Let's listen to that.
Honestly, I don't think the Democrats want to make a deal. I think they talk about DACA, but they don't want to help the DACA people. Now, we used to say the DACA children, but children aren't children. Anyway, I think you have a lot of sticking points, but they're all Democrat sticking points, because we are ready, willing, and able to make a deal, but they don't want to. They don't want security at the border. We have people pouring in. They don't want security at the border. They don't want to stop drugs. And they want to take money away from our military, which we cannot do. So those are some of the sticking points. I'm here to support our military. Our military has to be the best in the world by far. And as you know, it's been depleted over the last long period of time. And when we finish, there won't be anything like it. We need that now almost more than at any time in the past. So I'm here for our military. I'm here to support our great and very powerful military. And we're going to keep it that way, but we're going to make it much better, and that's what we're doing. It also means jobs. You see what's happening with respect to jobs. You see what happened yesterday, Apple, and now it was just announced that they're giving each employee a lot of money. So our tax cuts and our tax reform has turned out to be far greater than anybody ever anticipated, and I'm sure the Democrats would like to blunt that by shutting down government. But again, the group that loses big would be the military.
Okay, so basically he's saying, you know, with all that's going on with the economy, the Democrats are desperate to turn their attention and create a crisis to pull people's attention away from what really is going on. It's like the old deal, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz, you know, the guy that's running all this stuff, all the fire and sound and fury, because we don't want you to see what's really going on. What's really going on is that Trump is single-handedly turning this economy into a jet plane. You know, the economy... We're realistically looking at, forget about it. I mean, Barack Obama couldn't get it up for 8 years to 3% GDP. He couldn't even get up past 2% GDP. Trump's entire first year, 3% GDP, and it's likely to go to 4 and 5 this year. You know what that means to the economy? Trillions, about $2.5 trillion for every point of GDP into the economy. That's rocket fuel. This economy is taking off. Now, how are the Democrats going to argue when everybody's got a job and people are happy and got paychecks, and they can actually afford health care because they can actually take it out of their pocket and pay for it because they got more money?
It's all sideshow and distraction for the Democrats. They have no message. They have no candidates.
That's right. So now one of the things, of course, you know, the whole big thing was about the president saying a word that I said in my opening monologue rhymes with, that they had a snit over it. So I say it rhymes with snit hole, okay? So that we know what the word is. You can figure it out, I'm sure. Well, anyhow, Senator Durbin's claim that Trump called Haiti and countries in Africa that name. Let's listen to the Mar-a-Lago bite number 2.
Did you see what various senators in the room said about my comments? They weren't made. No, I'm not a racist. I am the least racist person you have ever interviewed. That I can tell you. I don't know if there'll be a shutdown. There shouldn't be, because if there is, our military gets hurt very badly. We cannot let our military be hurt.
As a point of evidence for Donald Trump, remember when he said last year during the campaign he went to a church in Michigan, I think it was in the Detroit, inner city church, Baptist church, he's in there, and he's telling the people in the church, what have you got to lose after 50 years of failed Democrat Party policies that have left your cities in shambles? Ghettos, crime-infested ghettos, no jobs, poverty everywhere. Why not try something? And what the hell have you got to lose by voting for me? Well, he's in office. What's happened? Black unemployment is at its lowest level in what? 17 years, is it? Something like that. And or maybe the lowest level ever. And as for Hispanic population unemployment, that too is at historic low levels. So you tell me that a rising water doesn't lift all boats? Come on, it does. You know,
President Trump got 2 to 3 points higher than Romney or McCain did when they ran.
That's right.
With minority voters.
Now, the president's not happy with he calls him Dickie Durbin for blowing up the DACA deal on this by trotting out and saying, well, he said something bad. He said a bad word. By the way, there are, and I said in my opening monologue, there are 3.6 million people that are covered under DACA.
That was today. That number used to be 800,000.
Yeah, nobody knew that number was
3.6 million.
That big enough. Funny how that number's grown, isn't it? That's 1% of our population. You know, really? 3.6 million people now. So if Trump is going to do something to normalize their presence here in this country, and they're not children anymore. They may have been children when they came here. If he's going to normalize their presence in this country, he's going to have to get something that he needs to secure the border so we don't revisit this again in another 20 years. And that includes the end to chain migration, where you bring your uncles, your cousins, and your aunts and distant cousins over because you're here. And the other thing is that you want an end to the visa lottery, and you replace it with a merit-based system. Merit-based means if you have skills to offer. From the time of Ellis Island, when you came to this country, when Ellis Island was opening up for people, and they talk about it, the poem at the Statue of Liberty, which was really added later in the pedestal, the purpose of Ellis Island was to bring able-bodied people to this country who would have a sponsor in this country and would be able to fend for themselves and make a living and start fresh and start something up, not to come here and be on a welfare system. Of course, we didn't have much of a welfare system back in those days. And immigration did end after the early part of the 20th century for quite a number of decades before it was restarted at the urging of some Democrats like Ted Kennedy to open the floodgates so they could bring more potential Democrats into the fold. So it's just an interesting point. Now, Kirstjen Nielsen is rising in respect because of the way she handled herself on the Hill.
Department of Homeland Security.
She's our new Homeland Security Secretary. People had their doubts about her, but she is... she handled it like a boss. Cory Booker, I'm not going to play his little tirade going after her, but she handled that just fine. And with Kamala Harris, the senator from California, tried to get at her, didn't get under her skin. She handled her like a boss. But here's how Durbin questioned her and how she responded about what was said in that room. And by the way, let's set this up. What was said in that room, this was last week they had the big open meeting where Trump said, you bring me a deal, you bring me a bill that's a finished bill. But what this was brought to the White House in this occasion was, once again, Lindsey Graham was working out a little side deal with Dick Durbin, dancing with the devil again. And he brought this little side deal to the White House. The minute that John Kelly saw that, he brought in Tom Cotton and Stephen Miller and some other people to get other viewpoints because he wants the president to have other viewpoints. And it soon got rough because Lindsey wasn't going to get his way, cutting his own little side deal. And the language got rough. So they asked Kirstjen Nielsen what the president said in this private little White House meeting. Let's listen.
What do you remember the president saying about immigration from African countries to the United States?
What I heard him saying was that he'd like to move away from a country-based quota system to a merit-based system. So it shouldn't matter where you're from. It should matter what you can contribute to the United States.
How did he characterize those countries in Africa?
I don't specifically remember a categorization of countries in Africa. I think what he was saying is, as far as best I could tell, and as you know, there were about a dozen people in the room. There were a lot of cross conversations. There was a lot of rough talk by a lot of people in the room. But what I understood him to be saying is, let's move away from the countries and let's look at the individual and make sure that those we bring here can contribute to our society.
Do you remember the president saying expressly, I want more Europeans? Why can't we have more immigrants from Norway?
I do remember him asking about the concept of underrepresented countries as a fix. This was in the conversation about removing the diversity lottery and how we could reallocate that. And I do remember him asking, if we do that and we then assign those to countries that are unrepresented, aren't we just continuing non-merit-based immigration? So from that perspective, I think he did ask, would that cover European countries, or by its nature, would that mean that we are further establishing immigration to purposefully exclude Europeans?
What did the president say about immigrants from Norway?
I heard him repeating what he had learned in a meeting before, that they are industrious, that they are a hardworking country. They don't have much crime there. They don't have much debt. I think in general, I just heard him giving compliments to Norway.
Okay, and so we're going to go to the break momentarily, but she did say that strong language was used in the room. Let's hear what she had to say about it.
You said on Fox News that the president used strong language. What was that strong language?
Let's see. Strong language, there was Apologies, I don't remember a specific word. What I was struck with, frankly, as I'm sure you were as well, was just the general profanity that was used in the room by almost everyone.
Did you hear me use profanity?
No, sir. Neither did I.
Did you hear Senator Graham use profanity?
I did hear tough language from Senator Graham. Yes, sir.
What did he say?
He used tough language. He was impassioned. I think he was feeling very strongly about the issue, as was everyone in the room. And to underscore a point, I think he was using some strong language.
Do you recall that the strong language he used repeated exactly what the president had said prior to that?
I remember specific cuss words being used by a variety of members.
I'm not going to ask you to say those words here.
Well, that's a good thing. That's
what a gentleman. Huh?
What a gentleman, yes. Okay. Homeland Security Secretary is pursuing charges against leaders of sanctuary cities. In other words, they're going to start criminally charging these mayors that defy federal law, and we'll see if they haul them off in cuffs, how long this happens, But it'll be interesting to see that little confrontation, and they're going to start flooding California cities with immigration agents.
You notice how the issue, the critical issue of that meeting, in Durbin's mind, was all about who was using cuss words.
That's correct. It wasn't about the actual issue.
It's unbelievable.
Or the merits. It's never about the facts or the merits of an issue. It's always about side window dressing.
Distractions.
Yeah, it's a sideshow. We're going to return with General John Kelly, the Chief of Staff of the White House. You're going to want to hear what he has to say about all this when Trump Talk Live returns.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033. Stay with us for information you'll never get from the left-wing media, right here on Trump Talk Live, where the deplorables are ignored no more.
Have you tried every diet without dropping a pound? Maybe it's not your fault. Be Balanced Hormone Weight Loss Centers has a natural, non-medical approach to helping you shed those extra pounds. Hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, fatigue, and weight gain. Sound familiar? Be Balanced wants to change your hormones and change your life naturally. Go to BeBalancedCenters.com to take your free hormone assessment online. We're in the Tuscany Shops on Granada Boulevard in Ormond Beach. Be slimmer, be happier, be energized. Be Balanced Hormone Weight Loss Centers.
If you enjoy Honey Baked, you'll love Honey Baked for lunch. Stop by and enjoy a fresh-made sandwich with their famous ham and turkey. They also have other delicious favorites like ham salad, Tavern Club, roast beef, and chicken salad, to name just a few. And did you know that Honey Baked can cater your next office luncheon? Honey Baked offers a variety of sandwich platters and box lunches that can be customized for your event. Stop in at 345 Bill France Boulevard behind Volusia Mall, or call 386-238-0026 for Honey Baked.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033.
Okay, we want to thank our sponsors, Marino's Pizza in DeLand, Best Pizza in West Volusia, Milne Roofing. Call Milne Roofing, 386-986-8688. And Sonia Mori, make her your State Farm agent. Ask Sonia for an insurance checkup.
Thank you, Joe. And we mentioned General Kelly, the White House Chief of Staff, who's brought order to the White House since last summer. And he went on Fox News with Bret Baier last night and gave some very good insights. He talked about the prospects of another short-term spending bill, which the House may vote on tonight, to avert a government shutdown on the anniversary of the Trump inauguration. And of course, the Senate, the chances are iffier. Here's what Kelly said about that.
I spent a fair amount of time on the Hill today speaking to members of Congress, both sides of the aisle, and frankly, both sides of the Hill, and it would seem that they have the votes to continue funding the military, take care of the child health care issue, and perhaps some other things. So as I understand it, they have the votes, and they're fairly confident.
Okay, then he was asked about the Washington Post report that Kelly had called Trump's campaign comments on the wall uninformed. And Kelly gave a very nuanced answer to this. Let's listen to what he had to say about this.
I told him that, there's been an evolutionary process that this president has gone through as a campaign, and I pointed out to all of the members that were in the room that they all say things during the course of campaigns that may or may not be fully informed. But this president, if you've seen what he's done, he has changed the way he's looked at a number of things. He's adjusted the way he's looked at the South Asia strategy, Afghanistan. He's very definitely changed his attitude towards the DACA issue. And even the wall, once we briefed him when I was at DHS and told him that the real experts on defending the southwest border, the Customs and Border Protection men and women, came in, did a survey of the border. There are places where hydrographically, geographically, a wall would not be realistic. There are other parts of the southwest border that are so wild and untamed that there is no traffic that goes through them. There's other places, we think about 800 miles additional wall to include the 600 that are already in place. The fencing would suffice. So he has evolved in the way he's looked at things.
Now, the blowback on this, of course, is the media reported that Trump blew up over Kelly making these comments, that he had changed his thinking. But, I'm sure that he and Kelly had a frank discussion, but the White House says there is no distance between Kelly and the president. They understand each other. I'm sure Kelly explained, Mr. President, I just said that your view has evolved, as every president's view has evolved. So there's nothing to it. They're just trying to create something where it doesn't exist. Then he was asked about Lindsey Graham and the sideshow meeting at the White House, and the whole storm over that word that was attributed to the president by Dick Durbin, if you believe Dick Durbin. And General Kelly explained the whole process of how this meeting came about. You want to listen to this. It takes a little while. He lays it out. We got a picture of Lindsey in here, too. Okay, let's listen to that.
You folks are going to have to come up with a solution. And if you do, I'm going to sign that solution. I'll take the heat. I don't care.
Those who think that we're going to get away as Republicans with getting all we want on defense now, and we'll deal with the kids later, the DREAM Act population, closer to March 5th when their back's against the wall, that is nuts.
Somehow by 12 o'clock on Thursday, something happened, and I don't think he was well served by his staff. I think General Kelly's a fine man, but he's also part of the staff.
There was an early morning phone call from one of the senators that said that I was conferenced in on, that said that they had come...
Durbin calls.
They had come with a solution. And the president was ecstatic. He said, we've got money for the wall, we've got the various other things that the president is interested in, the end of chain or family-based migration, and the end of the visa lottery and money for the wall. The president was thrilled, invited them over. So I then called other members of the Senate, because I was surprised at how fast this was happening, other members of the Senate that are involved in this whole process, and they were completely uninformed that there had been a bipartisan initiative led by both Senators Durbin and Graham, apparently. They were uninformed of that, and these are men that have been informed or have been involved in this process. So I then went over to the Hill to talk to someone who's been a friend for 20 years and remains a friend, Senator Graham. I knew him in the House when he was a freshman and all the way up to this point. Got his impression of what this deal was. But it was clear to me that, again, it was bipartisan, no doubt, but it was from a kind of a focus group of bipartisan senators. I then went over to the House side to talk to McCarthy, Congressman McCarthy, Congressman Goodlatte, and the Speaker to find out if they had been involved in this process. They had not been. So at that point, again, I had two senators coming over with what I would characterize as a possible solution to the DACA issue, but it certainly occupies one end of the spectrum. So the president then asked that we invite some other senators and members of the House to come over.
The president asked for that.
He asked for that. And again, it's how I now force the staff to do business. I don't want the president to hear one side of a story. The president likes to talk about issues. He likes to hear everyone's side. He prefers, or not prefers, but he certainly enjoys the intellectual discussion and wants people to raise issues that perhaps are issues that he doesn't believe in.
So does he decide it's a bad deal once he starts hearing the details?
Well, in the course of the conversation, he said, well, this is certainly, something we can talk about, but this is not what I had in mind, but it's a start point, and we can talk about it. Just like Mr. Goodlatte, who was there, he has a proposed bill that is a great start point to talk about. So this begins the process.
Okay, now, what do we learn from that, Joe? What does it tell us? It tells us that Lindsey Graham is playing his own game. He didn't tell the leadership of his own party. He didn't tell the leaders of the House what was going on. He decided to freelance with Dick Durbin from the other side of the aisle and not tell anybody what was going on, and go down to the White House and try to basically get the president on board so he could be the hero of DACA.
General Kelly just said it in the very nicest way, but he smelled a rat, and maybe two rats, and got the right people in the room and listened to this so-called proposal, and it wasn't anything near what the president was asking for.
So much for Lindsey Graham, all right? Rex Tillerson, our Secretary of State, who, by the way, is still with us, is he not?
Yes.
Remember the reports last month he was quitting?
Well, yeah,
he's
that's
still
the
with
fake
us.
news. Yeah,
he's still with us, as
right.
General Kelly still is. Well, Rex Tillerson has warned China that the U.S. military action against North Korea is a possibility. That means war, unless China works with the Trump administration to rein in the regime's nuclear weapons program. We will not tolerate a nuclear missile pointing at our major cities, especially from a belligerent nation like North Korea. And China had best get with the game, and of course Russia's not playing well with us either. They're providing aid and comfort to North Korea from their own methods because they're not on board with us either. So now, is war with the North Korea inevitable in light of Kim Jong-un's determination to go nuclear? Well, let's hear what General Kelly, the Chief of Staff of the White House, says.
I hope not. But I don't think, this is one of those things that landed on this president's lap. It's been in the process for 25 years. We've kicked a can down the road. The problem at this point in time is there's no road left. We have to deal with this guy. He cannot have a deliverable atomic weapon that can reach the United States reliably. It just cannot be. Obviously, the president would much prefer to do this in alliance with every other nation of goodwill to convince this guy that it is not in his interest. But I believe we're out of road. There's no more place to kick this can.
Second interview in as many weeks, he wouldn't answer the question whether he's talked to Kim Jong-un. Has he?
He is. There are open channels, but I prefer not to comment on that. But there are a lot of people trying to help out here, and the president calls numerous national leaders, Chinese as an example, on a regular basis. Japan, Korea, others on a regular basis. Our ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, works that very, very hard and has gotten some great votes in the Security Council. But at the end of the day, this president is committed to ensuring the nation's safety.
Now, if you listen to that, look at the team we've got working for us. We've got Rex Tillerson, John Kelly, Nikki Haley, Jim Mattis, Mike Pompeo. These people are all grown-ups, and they know how serious the job is, and they're getting the job done.
They were handed a mess. Victor David Hanson, our friend, had this is just a quote from him. Obama's pseudo-red lines in Syria signaled to the Iranians and North Koreans that there were few red lines of any sort anywhere. So too, recent destruction of ISIS now suggests to others that there are far fewer restrictions on Trump's Secretary of Defense anywhere. It's about perception, and under Obama, they had a free rein to do whatever they wanted. They don't think so anymore.
Well, we're going to contrast after this break between the solidity of a John Kelly to the flakiness of the senator from Arizona, the junior senator from Arizona.
Soon to be departing.
The lame duck senator from Arizona,
right.
Soon to be the ex-senator, who apparently needs a little history lesson on what real murderous tyrants are, as opposed to what our American president is. And when Trump Talk Live returns, we'll give you an illustration.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033. Stay tuned as we peel away those layers of liberal hypocrisy right here on Trump Talk Live, where the deplorables are ignored no more.
Hi, Dave Lang for Racing's original North Turn, and boy, did we have a ball during Bike Week. But it's time for the locals to reclaim our town, reclaim our beach, and Racing's North Turn is the perfect stop if you're looking for a good drink, great entertainment, and the best in food. They're right on the beach at Racing's Original North Turn. Rhonda and Walt invite you to come on down to dinner tonight. Here are a couple of testimonials. These are actual testimonials from people who have enjoyed the North Turn. Been there many times, always great food and drinks, great location on the beach. And another, what a great experience. It's my new favorite restaurant in the Daytona Beach area. Racing's Original North Turn has been named Top 10 Beach Bar for 6 years in a row. Racing's Original North Turn on South Atlantic Avenue. That's A1A in Ponce Inlet, about 3.2 miles south of the Dunlawton Bridge and A1A intersection. It's Racing's Original North Turn, a restaurant, museum, bar, gift shop, live music. That's Racing's North Turn.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033.
We are back. Senator Jeff Flake decided he just hasn't bashed Trump enough, so he decided to take to the floor of the Senate. There were only about 3 senators on the floor to listen to him, including Dick Durbin, by the way.
Yes.
And Jeff Flake made this speech about Trump, comparing him to Joseph Stalin. Now, as bad as we know Hitler was, Joseph Stalin murdered even more people.
He was
than
one of
Hitler.
history's greatest mass murderers, along with Mao Zedong of China. And for a U.S. senator to call his president of his own party Stalin is just beyond belief.
Simply because the president engages in verbal fisticuffs with the media. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, the Democrats have done the Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin thing since Donald Trump showed up. But to have a senator of your own party do this from the floor of the Senate, this is outrageous.
That's how desperate this man is and delusional he is. But let's listen to what General Kelly had to say about Flakey's comments.
Not only has the past year seen an American president borrow despotic language to refer to the free press, but it seems he has now, in turn, inspired dictators and authoritarians with his own language.
How do you respond to all that?
I think it's unfortunate that he would do that. I think he's completely wrong. It more than suggests to me that I just think he's completely wrong. He's I think it's beneath him, but he is a United States senator and he has his opinions, and he can voice them any way he wants, I guess.
Okay, we're done with Flake, except for the fact we want to hear from Dr. Sebastian Gorka. He has a little perspective on Joseph Stalin because he has some family history in that part of the world. Let's hear Dr. Gorka talk about it.
Senator Flake should be ashamed of himself. My parents lived under a Stalinist regime. My father was arrested and tortured and put in prison by a Stalinist regime. This man has no moral compass left anymore. Senator Flake has just insulted all those people who have died or suffered under true Stalinist regimes. He has become a parody of a politician.
Okay, let's move on. Trey Gowdy. They had some testimony from Steve Bannon, Corey Lewandowski on the Hill this week about this whole mess that they're investigating at the Senate, the House Intel Committee. Trey Gowdy said on Wednesday that the former White House chief strategist Stephen Bannon has a credibility issue revealed by his House Intelligence Panel testimony. Gowdy warned that Robert Mueller's special counsel office against trying to build a case around Bannon's testimony, warning the credibility of the former Trump advisor's statement is shaky. He also talks a little bit about how we're going to learn a lot more about really how corrupt the FBI and DOJ was when it came to investigating Hillary. Let's listen to cut number 1.
We already know this case was handled differently from any other case that the FBI agents could remember. Now, part of that is that you're dealing with a presidential candidate, and we want to make sure that that was the only reason that it was done differently. There was an exoneration memo drafted in May of 2016 that, as a former prosecutor, I just found stunning. I find stunning that a law enforcement officer would draft it 2 months before you have interviewed the target of the investigation and before you've interviewed almost 24 witnesses. So we need to know whether or not there was also a prosecution memo. We've seen the non-prosecution memo. Was there a memo laying out the case if they had decided to prosecute, and if not, why not?
Now, and he also points out the cover-up Comey decision of July 5th, as announced, 2016, defies all legal precedent that he understands as a prosecutor.
The head of the FBI made the charging decision in that famous July 5th press conference. That's unprecedented. He also wrote 2 letters in the fall of 2016 that lots of Democrats thought were inappropriate to send. So there are lots of questions we have for the FBI, and Chairman Goodlatte on Judiciary and I are kind of teaming up to take a look at those decisions in 2016.
There were some disagreements between the White House and this committee about what should be said and should not be said by former campaign people, because the committee says there is no executive privilege applying to the campaign. White House maybe, but not the campaign. Corey Lewandowski did testify, but he had lawyers with him, and he held back a little bit because of the lawyerly advice. Here's what Gowdy said about that.
He was the campaign manager. He was there from the very beginning. So all of my questions are about collusion, coordination, conspiracy. What evidence of any of that did he see? He's an important witness. It is not his fault that his lawyer didn't prep him to answer all the questions today. So this isn't like Steve Bannon yesterday. Corey's coming back, and he's going to finish the job.
Just to put a bow on the Corey Lewandowski part of this story, he has said all along that there was absolutely no collusion, that he has nothing to hide. Was there anything in today's testimony that changed that?
Nothing. There is no evidence of collusion between Donald Trump and the Russians, between the Trump campaign and the Russians, even between hangers-on and wannabes on the campaign. Now, we're not through interviewing witnesses, but the only person who says that he has seen evidence of collusion is Adam Schiff, and somehow or another he saw it before we even began.
Okay, and back to Bannon. So let's listen to the whole nonsense going on with Bannon, because apparently Bannon's going to talk to Mueller, not to the grand jury, but to Mueller about what he quote-unquote knows. But Trey Gowdy, after hearing Bannon and having seen him in action, has some reservations to offer to Mr. Mueller about what he might believe.
So the characterization of Steve Bannon is that he has flipped, that he's saving everything he knows for his conversation with Robert Mueller, which is now not in front of a grand jury anymore, and that he is, quote, the most dangerous man for the Trump administration. Do you agree with that?
Whether or not he's dangerous, I don't know. I just met him yesterday. I think the only thing dangerous for President Trump or his campaign is credible evidence. This is the same witness that said that there was a 0% chance that the Russian lawyer wasn't walked up to Trump, and when he was asked what that evidence was, he came up with nothing. This is the same witness that said that members of the president's family committed acts of treason. So he's got a credibility issue. If they're hinging the entire case on Steve Bannon's credibility, good luck to the prosecution.
Okay, enough of that subject. Now, we've seen a lot of men age prematurely in the White House. We've seen the graying hair and the signs of age and illness that have come to presidents. Look at what happened to FDR at the time. He was quite a while, but he certainly died in office. Dr. Ronnie Jackson is the White House physician. They conducted the White House physical this week, and he basically told the reporters, and we're going to go to number 2, because just so you know, this president is 71 years old, loves McDonald's, loves Kentucky Fried Chicken, fast food. He doesn't diet or exercise much. He's never smoked. He's never drank. But guess what? He's healthy as a horse. He said if he had a better lifestyle, he could live to 200. He says he has no doubt he'll live his full 8 years and well beyond. He's got great genes. Let's listen to number 2 as the doctor describes it.
All clinical data indicates that the president is currently very healthy and that he will remain so for the duration of his presidency. Okay, with that, I'll take some questions. Before we get started, let me just make one comment. I'd just like to point out for all of you here in this room, many of you which know me, if something should happen to you over the next few months and you should fall ill at some point, that most likely I will be the one called to come and take care of you. So when you ask your questions, please keep that in mind.
I love that. Okay, so John Roberts from Fox News. Well, what about diet and exercise? We hear he doesn't like either of those two things.
How much weight have you suggested the president lose? And he has not exactly been enthusiastic about exercising. The president kind of believes that we all have a finite battery. Why waste it on exercising when you can put it toward other pursuits? So what did you counsel him about that?
Right, that's right. So, I think the president, he and I talked, and he would like to lose over the next, I think a reasonable goal over the next year or so is to lose 10 to 15 pounds. We talked about diet and exercise a lot. He's more enthusiastic about the diet part than the exercise part, but we're going to do both. he and I will work together over the next year to incorporate a good plan so that we can meet those goals.
Now, this came repeatedly from reporter after reporter after reporter. I'll give you a little sample of it. Oh, they're digging as hard as they can. Well, he is crazy, isn't he? He's got onset Alzheimer's. He's got dementia. Come on, doctor, give us something here. Give us something. Cut number 4.
There have been some questions as part of your exam. I'm wondering if you talked to the president about this, about the president's mental fitness. He has pushed back on that, calling himself
Right.
a staple genius. Can you assess the president's mental fitness for office?
Absolutely. So many of you may have picked up on the fact that we did do a cognitive assessment as part of the exam. And initially, I had no intention of including a cognitive assessment in this exam because, to be honest with you, per all the guidelines that are out there, it's not indicated at this time. A lot of the guidelines would suggest that you do cognitive screening questions, and that if you have a positive or concerning answer in the screening questions, that then you engage with a cognitive screening tool. So I had no intentions whatsoever of doing that, like I said, because I didn't feel it was clinically indicated. And part of the reason I didn't think it was clinically indicated is because I've spent almost every day in the president's presence since January 20, 2000, or last year, when he got into office. And I've seen him every day. I see him 1, 2, sometimes 3 times a day because of the location of my office. We have conversations about many things. Most don't revolve around medical issues at all. But I've got to know him pretty well. And I had absolutely no concerns about his cognitive ability or his neurological function. So I was not going to do a cognitive exam. I had no intention of doing one. The reason that we did the cognitive assessment is plain and simple because the president asked me to do it.
And he aced it. 30 questions out of 30 questions. We're off that subject. The president's
the whole thing about this health thing. I mean, first off, have you ever heard any president's health discussed like this? I guess Grover Cleveland would never be president nowadays. But the idea that this president somehow is health's even an issue with him. Anybody who watched the campaign in 2016, anybody who's seen the first year of his presidency, President Trump has animalistic energy. People half his age have to live on Red Bull and coffee to keep up with him.
And in fact, the press corps had to live on Red Bull to keep up with him going to 4 states on one tour and meeting with 30,000 people at a clip.
When you see him start to stagger or something, maybe you got a point, like Hillary falling down. But this president is an amazing physical specimen.
He sleeps only 5 hours.
Has a lot to say about don't drink and don't smoke.
He sleeps only 5 hours. The doctor said that, and also good genes. He said he sleeps only 5 hours a night. Let's go through the fake news awards real quick. Number 1. The New York, I'd like a drum roll, please, but we don't have one. The New York Times' Paul Krugman claimed on the day of President Trump's historic landslide the economy would never recover. Number 2, Brian Ross from ABC chokes and sends markets a downward spiral by reporting the president colluded with Trump and Russia during the campaign. Not true. Number 3, CNN falsely reported President Donald Trump and son Donald Jr. had access to hacked documents from WikiLeaks. Wrong. Time fault number 4, falsely reported President Trump removed the bust of Martin Luther King. Wrong. Number 5, Washington Post falsely reported the president's massive sold-out rally in Pensacola was empty. Wrong. They took pictures before it began. 30 seconds.
Let me jump to number 11, which was given to every news outlet for their Russia collusion, delusion. He wants to say it one more time. The greatest hoax ever perpetrated on the American people. There is no collusion.
But there is President Trump, and America is greater every day thanks to him. We'll see you again next week on Trump Talk Live.
Feeling stuck in a state of compensation stagnation? You know, another year with no raise. Then let State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand help you get to a better state with a discount double check that can stretch your hard-earned dollars a little farther. Sonia will go through your car insurance to make sure you're getting all the discounts you deserve. Discounts that could add up to 40% and put a few hundred extra dollars in your pocket. Sound good? Then get your budget to a better state by calling State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand today. Discounts may vary state to state.
You've been listening to Trump Talk Live, making America great again, 1 hour at a time. Follow us at Volusia County Republican Party on Facebook or go to our website, TrumpTalkLive.com for updates. Join your Trump-Publican hosts, Vic Baker and Tony Ledbetter, for another fearless edition of Trump Talk Live next Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on WNDB 1150 AM and 93.5 FM. Trump Talk Live is presented each week by the Republican Party of Volusia County, where we, the people, have the right voice when it comes to defending America's founding values. In God we trust, In America, we believe.
The Republican Executive Committee of Volusia County is responsible for the content of this advertising.
FM 93.5, AM 1150, WNDB Daytona Beach. Proud to be locally owned, a Southern Stone station.
Short-term fix. I'm Lee Silasera, Fox News.
On this, the yeas are 230, the nays are 197. The motion is adopted without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
House Republicans pushing through a short-term spending plan. Fox's Jared Halpern has this live in D.C.
With the backing of President Trump and a block of House conservatives, a short-term spending bill funding government through mid-February won approval in the House. Only a handful of Democrats voted.